there. This is episode 92 of the first 10 minutes. I'm Tony Parmenter.
I'm Steve Halliwell.
And I just watched the Game of Thrones season 7 finale, and my brain is processing some shit.
So we're back to
He's also Aaron.
Back to the bad old days of the first 30 or so episodes. Aaron, where you just
quick little return there.
Things. Nice. First you change your Twitter handle, and now this. So this is a video games podcast where we play the first 10 minutes of a video game. Then we sit down here to discuss how well that game communicates itself to the player, both in terms of what the game is about and how to play the game. And in response to our latest listener poll, which you can find at the first 10 minutes on Twitter, you, the listeners, didn't have much of a choice, and we are playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. All of us, we all played Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. How did that go?
Yep.
Very well, thank you.
It was good.
Yeah, it was a good time at the movies.
So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll.
All right, so I'll lead. You guys jump in when you want to say something more involved than me summarizing.
Steve's wresting control of this podcast the way that he wrested control of the camera in this video game.
Yes, if you want to watch our combined footage, Tony chopped together.
I prefer the verb edited elegantly.
Yep. All of our first 10 minutes. Mine is humorously edited.
It's on our YouTube channel, so you can find the link to the video in question in the show notes. So probably more so for this episode than most of them recently. We very strongly recommend that you duck over and have a look at that before you keep listening. So we'll just wait here for 10 minutes.
That'll fill some airtime, yeah.
While you're doing that.
Does someone want to come up with a little jingle?
Sure.
No, that's just Spider-Man. That's inappropriate.
Okay.
Anyway, Steve, you're in control of this episode.
Yeah,
you said.
Uncharted: The Lost Legacy
Yes.
is an action-adventure video game developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It was released in August of 2017 for the PlayStation 4.
That's
it was
like
now.
right now.
It was at one point.
Yeah.
As a standalone expansion to the Uncharted series. Players control Chloe Frazer, who seeks the Tusk of Ganesh in the mountains of India in the midst of a civil war with the help of a mercenary, Nadine Ross. The game is played from a third-person perspective. Players use firearms and can use melee combat and stealth to defend against hostile enemies. Players solve puzzles, incorporating several platformer elements to advance the narrative and navigate the game world on foot or by vehicle. Thanks, Wikipedia.
Somebody really went to town on that.
Somebody really wanted you to understand that it's a combat
it's
game,
a video game
with melee and stealth elements.
It's a goddamn video game, damn it.
Where you'll advance the plot by solving puzzles. On foot or by vehicle.
Well, curious that you control Chloe and don't play as Chloe, but
yeah,
fine.
It's real weird.
Yeah,
it's real weird that someone was like, "No, you control Chloe Frazer."
Yeah.
Anyway,
nice choice of verb there.
Okay, so we're going to start off by not talking about the video game at all because the way this game opens is with a bunch of settings.
Indeed.
In Uncharted 4 fashion, at the very least, if not earlier. I can't remember Uncharted 3 because it was too long ago. So it offers us brightness, which we will come back to, language, accessibility, HUD layout, a bunch of other things before the game even shows you a main menu.
Where I proceeded to make this as easy as possible for myself.
Which I think are in the accessibility options in there. There's things in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So things like auto locking to enemies, only needing to hold down the triangle button instead of rapidly tapping it when you want to open a chest.
Yep.
Little things like that. Having a camera that automatically locks to the back of your vehicle. Yeah.
So some of those settings are later on.
No, they're all there in that menu.
Some of them are in there.
Menu.
A bunch of them are there for accessibility. Some of the things like the auto tracking camera, it shows you again later as a difficulty setting as well.
Yeah, so it reset a bunch of stuff that I switched off when I chose my difficulty.
Right.
Which was a shame, but yeah.
So these are all before the title screen.
This is before the game even tells you
Yeah.
what it is. This is like, yo, configure your shit. Mm-hmm. And so I did configure my shit, which caused you some hassles, Tony.
It did.
Because I did what it told me. It told me to configure the brightness so that I could barely see the logo on screen.
Yeah, but your television gives you a tan while you sit in front of it, clearly.
My
it
TV's
must be
bright.
so bright. Yeah.
Yeah. So I turned my brightness all the way down and I could still see the logo. It wasn't barely visible at all. It was very visible. But that meant that my video was very, very dark when Tony went to edit them back together.
I fixed it.
You did. You fixed it. You found the gamma.
I did.
Uh,
I had to do some contrast work on it as well, but that's all inside baseball.
It is.
Also, I didn't include any of these menus in the 10-minute video, but it is worth pointing out that that they've been very direct in the fact that there is a lot of stuff here that you can tune and customize.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is continuing in the vein of what they did in Uncharted 4, where accessibility came onto Naughty Dog's radar in a very substantial way, and they certainly seem to be following through with that commitment in this game, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, so let's get into game proper, I suppose. So we get loading, we get a menu, we hit start. The game is instantly very dramatic. As soon as there are visuals and the music swells, and we get a camera sort of crane actioning down over a sort of a bazaar or a marketplace.
Yep.
We get
It's quite the vista.
Yeah. It looks like it's probably sunset. There's a lot of dust in the air. There's sort of blues and teals in the sky.
I had a bit of disorientation of scale in this particular shot because the intricacy of the building over on the left-hand side, at first glance you think it is quite a giant structure, but when you notice the people walking around the base of it, it's actually way, way, way smaller than I'd first assumed. And there's quite a juxtaposition of that kind of more historical, cultural architecture, and then the kind of modern, industrialized sprawl of the rest of the shot.
Totally,
Yes.
and it works really well at sort of like arresting your vision immediately.
Yep.
Right, like you pay attention straight away because something seems amiss.
Where is the greatest amount of detail on screen?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you pointed out, it's a contrast point of that, what looks like a temple, perhaps, against otherwise like canvas huts and what look like apartment buildings made of concrete.
And I mean, you have no way of knowing this when you first see it, but it's also essentially showing you the entirety of the scene that you're going to spend most of the beginning of this game in, like the first 10 minutes of the game in. Yep.
So as this camera sort of cranes down, it sort of pans over some soldiers that appear to be just sitting on a rooftop, and we get like military radio chatter.
Yep.
The camera keeps going down into a shop, and that's where we see Chloe, who appears to be buying a head wrap or a headscarf of some sort. Jump in whenever you want to talk about anything in more detail. So
she's buying a headscarf of the Substance Designer brand, I think.
Yeah, looks like it. There is so much cloth physics happening everywhere in this scene.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So from having cut together footage of all three of our games from this introductory cutscene, I can say with authority that it is rendered in real time, because a lot of the AI agents in the background do not match up between our three sets of footage. Yep.
There you go.
So even more so then, I guess, kind of using this perhaps as a test case of how their cloth tech works.
Maybe.
It's pretty good.
Be a good test scene of like, well, there's a lot of buildings in here, there's a lot of cloth in here.
Yep.
All that sort of stuff. So Chloe starts bartering with a child that appears to be running this shop.
Can I just point out that there's some self-shadowing happening that's actually passing through the cloth on her head as well. I realise that's a very particular thing to call out, but this game is visually sumptuous, and there is a substantial amount of quite technically impressive stuff happening, almost none of which you will notice because you're paying attention to what is happening narratively.
Yeah, which is a really clever way of showing off, essentially.
Yep.
I haven't looked at this game side by side with Uncharted 4 to know if there is a bunch of new stuff that the engine is doing or not. But it still looks very, very good.
Yeah, indeed it does.
So during this intro scene, we get sort of movie-style credits where it's listing out like lead writers, lead animation, lead engineer, lead script, lead gameplay programmer.
Lead
during
character
this scene.
concept artist.
Yep.
Hi, Rich. He's not listening, but that's fine.
That's fine. We'll know.
Yeah. That's what matters, right, Tony?
Absolutely.
It's the thought that counts, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we get some cuts of dialogue here that I pulled out. So Chloe asks, "Does your father normally leave you alone?" Because this child appears to be running the shop on their own. So Chloe talks to her and then goes over to the counter to buy the scarf, and the child scurries over to the counter again and starts talking to her. So it says, does your father normally leave you alone? And the child says, "Haha, no, he's away fighting the devils." And sort of the camera moves over a little bit.
It's rebels. Yep.
I wrote down devils, and I liked it better that way.
It's
Like she's like, he's fighting those scoundrels, those scallywags.
I thought I heard devils the first time too.
Yeah. I didn't have subtitles on.
Aaron did. So how did you mishear it?
I didn't have subtitles on for the first 4 minutes. And then I realized that collectively we might all want to have subtitles on for, like re-watching purposes. And so I turned them on halfway through, totally mucked up the times. Sorry, Tony.
No,
you did a really, really good job this week.
I fixed all of it. I want to just do a particular shout out probably to my favorite little line of dialogue in this entire exchange. Where this young girl says, half price if you buy two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite a telling way of kind of setting up the not so much impulsiveness but assertiveness of this young child.
Yes.
Yep.
She has
exactly.
full bargaining control.
Yes.
Yes. She does not intend on having... Yes, and she does not intend on this not resulting in a sale.
Mm-hmm. I also like that you can say half price if you buy two, and you're not sure if that means buy one, get one free, or the second one is half off. Anyway.
Yeah.
I would assume that you just buy two of them for the same price as you would buy one of them? I don't know.
That's how they get you, though.
The point is
that it's good, and that she points at this photo of presumably her father, where in my headcanon she says he's away fighting the devils.
But in the true canon, she says he's off fighting the rebels. But
if you have subtitles on, ruining it. Chloe pauses for a second and then says, "The Indian army called him up, did they?" And the girl replies, "No, he volunteered." Where I believe then Chloe pauses again and says, "Interesting."
Yeah, which is a really, really excellent way of setting up the geopolitical climate that you are going to exist in for the duration of this game, and also to sort of assist along in understanding who it is that you're shooting when you are later.
Yep.
And that's sort of like that's the sort of expository stuff that can oftentimes be delivered in a heavy-handed, clumsy way and sort of a fish out of water type style trope. This is a really good way of just integrating it naturally into the dialogue that also filters along to later plot developments, which I don't know if we get a sense of that in terms of the relationship that Chloe has with this little girl moving forward over the next few minutes, but parentage becomes sort of a big theme of this game eventually, and it's setting that up now. Sorry, Tony.
I can conveniently play dumb and be horribly uninformed here because I have literally only played this game up to the point where I played it for the podcast because I still have this flu and I'm pretty much incapable of concentrating on anything. So my sense of just this first 10 minutes via 3 different playthroughs and staring at a video editing package for a couple of hours, the main thing that I got out of this was that Chloe seems to be trying to understand where not so much where her moral compass is, but how she should apply it to whatever context this is in. Because she does make a little bit of a comment a little bit further on that she's in an active war zone, which is, nothing I can't handle. But even though she seems to be aware that things are going from bad to worse, I'm not entirely sure at this point as to which side she, air quotes, sympathizes with, or if it's possibly neither.
I mean, Chloe's emotional non-committal becomes a sort of a driving aspect of the story moving forward.
Right, okay.
And her political feelings get brought in a couple of times in passing dialogue. Right,
okay.
So you are correct in that sense.
Yeah, she seems to be struggling between her personal response to the immediate situation that she's in and the broader context of where she is.
Yeah, totally. And then on top of all of that, there's the fact that she is a survivor, and being a survivor oftentimes means not involving yourself in situations that are likely to result in you being killed.
So it's like De Niro's monologue in Heat.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Don't. What is it? Don't commit to anything you can't walk away from in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah, I mean that's the understandable life of a thief.
Right.
In terms of Chloe's motivations, also, I don't have the most clear recollection of Uncharted 2, which we probably should have mentioned earlier. That's where Chloe first appeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As one of Nathan Drake's co-stars in that game. Mm-hmm. She's with you for quite a large stretch of the game. As one of the main characters. But for me...
And if I recall correctly, there are periods of that game where you weren't quite sure if she was a double agent, she was going to double-cross you, or... Yeah.
Or if she was pretending to double-cross you so you wouldn't something...
Yeah.
It's all very intricate. I remember enjoying it quite a lot, but I don't remember clearly what happened.
Yeah.
But for me, I enjoyed having a character that had... I guess clearer motivations isn't really the right way of phrasing it. But Nathan Drake certainly has a sense of, I'm going to get this treasure because I am going to get this treasure, goddammit.
Yep.
Whereas Chloe's motivations here are deeper than got to get that treasure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which we get some of in the first 10 minutes. Like she mentions that she's here to help a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so on and so on. Okay, so... Oh, God. All right, back on the rails. So...
Not for Chloe long, goes to, Steve.
They barter.
Yep, just you wait.
The child drops the price probably too much after one forget about it. And Chloe reaches into her back pocket and dumps all of the money she has on the table to count out how much she needs to pay.
Yes.
And in doing this, presumably on purpose, she drops a Ganesh trinket that she has that we don't know the context for yet on the table, and the child notices it and offers her a new deal that is pay me less and give me the Ganesh trinket.
Yeah.
And Chloe plays with the child and says, oh, you don't want this thing, it's broken. And so the child then goes, what? You don't know? You don't know the story of how Ganesh lost his tusk?
Hey, that's what Wikipedia was talking about.
Yes, Wikipedia was right. Wikipedia had clearly played the first 10 minutes of this video game.
Until you read that Wikipedia to me, I had no fucking clue that's what the game was about. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So there we go. We get this little story here to set up what it is that we're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. Getting Ganesh's tusk back. This little exchange, whether it's to endear the child to Chloe. I don't know how much Chloe is trying to exploit this child or not at this point.
I get the feeling she's waiting in this place because as soon as she sees the truck go past, she takes note of it, and that's the thing she's heading towards. So I think this is mainly a location of convenience.
Yeah, this is stalling for time.
That she happens. Yeah, exactly. But it's also like it has the tandem purpose of also developing into a place where she wants to be.
Yeah. So she's trying to enjoy herself, I guess, while she's killing time. But this also means that for all of us that aren't up on our Ganesh lore, our Earth lore, get a little bit of Earth lore so that we know what's going on. Because it's going to be told to us many more times in the rest of this game.
There's a lot of Earth lore to get through, Steve.
There's a lot of Earth lore, and there's a lot of Earth lore specifically about Ganesh's tusk, as I'm sure you will find out if you play the rest of this game.
No, I was speaking in the broader sense, as in on this planet there is plenty of Earth lore to be had.
There is a lot.
Yes. Yep.
There is a lot of it.
As we all know as well, Earth lore is written by the victors. So
yes,
that's why it's always so happy and upbeat.
Yeah, that's why it always turns out. But I think it's also important to note here as well that this seems to be sort of placed in the spotlight a little bit, like naturally in the dialogue, but placed in the spotlight a little bit to indicate that actual research was done into this, which I think is worth mentioning.
Yep. As Tony said, then Chloe, a truck goes by in the background of the shot. And Chloe sort of looks over her shoulder and sees it and says, right on time, I think. And sort of just stops bartering with the child, grabs the trinket, throws her 600 rupees, which is more than they agreed to pay, and starts leaving. And the child, for unknown reasons, is like, no, you'll need a guide. You don't know where you're going. And abandons her shop. But so now we're in video game. The camera adopts the video game camera pose. The child stands directly in front of you, pretty much center camera, sort of like beckoning you to leave the store and walk, I think it is, to the right.
Yes.
Yes, to the right.
And so, obviously, the first thing that we all did...
No,
Steve, the first thing that you did...
First thing that we all did was walk out.
No, do not walk us off this ship with you.
And started admiring the scenery because we had control of the camera for the first time, right?
No,
like, it's time to soak in the atmosphere. So I walked out of the store and started looking around, and you can't see it in the video, and you can't even see it in the video that I recorded on my machine. So it looks like I'm trying to figure out how the camera works. But I looked up in the sky, and there's actually a particle effect kind of twinkling happening in the skybox because the sun is going down, so you can see some of the stars start to come out. And I admired that for a while, and I thought it was quite nice.
I assumed that you were looking for seams.
Yeah,
that's what I thought
too. You were looking at the stars.
My second
We're
guess.
assholes.
My second guess was that the awning, that is the only other thing visible on the screen, caught your attention, and that you were going, you know what, Substance Designer is pretty fucking sweet.
Like, they've really got all their money's worth out of Substance Painter right here. No, I was admiring their dynamic skybox with twinkling stars in it. You just can't see the twinkling stars in the video. They're too small. They get compressed.
Sure. Twinkling stars. I believe.
Yeah.
Twinkling stars and texture seams. It's a new podcast coming soon.
Look, I anti-Zoolander.
You double alliterated. That's so good. I'm so proud.
I anti-Zoolanded and I turned right.
Yes, correct.
And I
right
walked.
Is the direction. That is also the direction. I did what the game wanted me to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I knew what the game wanted me to do, but
so I wanted to point out what is immediately around the corner to the right, which is a pair of soldiers who you have just seen and you have just had a bunch of conversation about.
Correct.
I immediately stopped and made sure that I moved past them quietly, which I thought was an interesting kind of intrinsic reaction that I had. Because my automatic assumption, having played a video game before, is that when you see people in uniforms that aren't on your side, or that you haven't been explicitly told are on your side, they're probably people that you're going to end up in combat
in a fight with. Yeah, and
totally.
The thing that also that intro I think is to try and reinforce is that the army are the good guys and that the rebels are the bad guys.
That seems to be what it's implying, but I also don't know for certain who these are yet.
They appear to be the army that are hanging around.
That is the assumption.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'd literally only been in this game for long enough to admire the use of substance designer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just quickly, I think it could also.
I'm being facetious. I was admiring far more than that, but fine.
I think it's what it's also implying as well is a sense that, like, because the cutscene earlier reinforced this with Chloe's sort of nervous looks around this idea, is that this could potentially be the dominant political discourse at the moment, and that may not in fact be entirely accurate. So yes, all the pieces were put in place for you to understandably caution your way around them.
For them to be so immediately right there around a blind corner as soon as you're given control of the camera didn't feel accidental to me.
Not at all. Yeah, it's visual reinforcement.
The other thing that we forgot to mention is the photo that the child points to of her father is in a blue uniform.
Yes.
Like, it's not just a photo of her father, it's in the uniform that we then see other people wearing.
Yep.
So the child leads us down the only way to go, through crowds of people, and we get the Uncharted / Assassin's Creed thing happening, where Chloe will sneak past people and sort of put hands on their shoulders to let them know she's passing behind them.
Yep.
I'm following the child down the only path that I can. It sort of winds down some steps, and Chloe changes animation to a step walking animation as she walks down it. And then up ahead of us, there is a very non-diegetic grey circle hovering in the middle of nothing, sort of just in front of a stall.
Yep.
It's the only thing so far, other than the credits, that haven't been just the world.
Yes.
So I approach it, and as I get closer to it, the grey circle turns into the PS4 triangle icon.
Yeah.
With an Instagram Polaroid on top of it.
Uh-huh.
So I press the triangle.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
When we press the triangle, Chloe pulls out her phone and takes a photo, and the camera sort of zooms in over her shoulder to watch her do that.
Yep.
And when that's done, she flips the phone around to show the photo that she's taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get a UI prompt of how to look at your photos.
Yes.
So over the course of the game, you will take more photos, and you will then be able to look at them. I believe
sort of it appears to be a version of the sort of the sketching in the journal of previous Uncharted games.
Yep.
So it's a way of cataloging kind of your exploits and adventures.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The park benches in that game are just there for you to have a cool view.
Right.
So these Polaroid moments continue happening throughout the game.
Yeah.
And they do just feel like, look how goddamn pretty this is.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it.
Yes, I once again, I both applaud and lament the inclusion of a photo mode that I can turn on from the beginning of the game, because I'm ruining a lot of really big moments.
Yes. I've been making sure I don't start using that, or I'll never stop.
Right. Yeah, don't do it.
Okay. There are more hints about the truck here that eventually I will want to get into. It is in front of this shot that I'm taking, even though I'm going to sort of zigzag through the market a bit more before I get there. Mm-hmm. This truck for
some of us, try to zigzag.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. So at a certain point, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was.
It's now.
After, yeah,
it's you're going
right
to turn
now,
around
yeah.
and now.
So I turn around and the young lady is standing expectantly in front of me, ready to continue leading me. There are also some people to the side of me, browsing some wares, and I got boxed the fuck in.
That wasn't quite now, but that did happen a little bit further down the line.
I knew it was in one of the bends.
Yeah.
But this happened to me. This really ate up a good little chunk of my 10 minutes. The collision volume around that little girl is something extraordinary. She has a lot of power.
And she
not only does she have the power to barter, but the power to prevent me from
inconvenient
finishing a
spot
tutorial
for you that made it quite difficult for you to maneuver through. So
Correct.
I do want to do a call out here. Straight after you take this photo of the truck and you get instructed on how to view photos on your phone, you have to do this thing where you pass through a narrow spot in the crowd. Like it's a fairly obvious path, but it doesn't look like a super open area for you to walk through. And this is very much a traditional kind of approach to maneuvering through crowds or tight spaces in Uncharted games. So there's a couple of different lenses that we can look at this through. And I'm going to go with the one that I'm familiar with, which is I have played all the Uncharteds and I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think they've done something quite clever here of making Chloe able to display her awareness of a situation in a way that I'm not. Because as you move through, you kind of half bump into somebody and Chloe excuses herself as she bumps into this person. And I, watching it, was going, this is a really nice variation on pushing Nathan Drake through a tight crack in a rock wall.
Yep.
And because of that, when I played it, I entirely missed the fact that the little girl scoots past you and pickpockets you.
Yeah.
So the specificity of allowing me as a person who has played many Uncharted games over the years, appreciating a different variation of a similar technique and being distracted not by what was happening in the game world, but what was happening in the game.
Yep.
As an opportunity to get pickpocketed. And then I didn't realize that had happened until Chloe pointed it out. And I thought that was I found that a really interesting way of leveraging me, the player, and my attention, and making that different from Chloe's awareness and her attention.
Totally. And just quickly from a narrative standpoint, the exchange that Chloe and the little girl have after that, where Chloe essentially is like, nice job, but give me that thing back.
She says, don't get me wrong, decent technique on the lift, but I'll have my Ganesh back now.
Yeah, totally.
And I believe she says something along the lines of A for effort, kid.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, totally.
And the other thing that I appreciated leading on from that, to put the video game back in this video game, is that is the mechanism via which they introduce another staple of Uncharted, which is find relics.
Yeah, get treasure.
And this one happens to be your first treasure in this game is something that you already had that was temporarily out of your possession for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Because when the little girl holds her hand out, you get the glow and the triangle button icon.
Yeah. Here's your treasure. It's also worth noting that the specific way in which Chloe talks to this child is very significant in terms of respect for a fellow thief, but then also in the significance of this object to Chloe, which we've already had foreshadowed in that she's not willing to bargain anything for it. The attachment that she does have to this object and the fact that she still treats this child with kindness is very, very important to note.
Mm-hmm.
And it's delivered in such a way that you do take note of that.
Yeah.
The other thing that Aaron, you had just mentioned is there is another point after you've taken that photo where the child says essentially, seriously though, how much for the Ganesh? And Chloe says, it's not for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is what prompts the child to pickpocket you to get it.
Yeah.
Which gives us the reason why she was offering to lead us around town.
Yes.
It's another distraction here. So in the, you found a treasure, do you want to look at it?
Yeah.
I watched back my video.
Yeah.
which Aaron you won't have seen, but Tony you probably saw and went, "What the hell is he doing?" I pressed the wrong button, and I then had to figure out how to get out of that menu. And then I pressed the wrong button again, and had to get out of that menu. And then I went, "Fine, I won't look at the goddamn treasure," and stormed off. Which is entirely down to me, and me not... When a controller says, "Press the options button," is my brain still going, "What the fuck is an options button?" Anyway. Alright, so after that, we continue with the girl, following her down towards where this truck is. And as we get close enough to it, the cutscene takes over again. Chloe instructs the girl to go away. It's too dangerous now. And the girl essentially tells Chloe the same thing. "It's too dangerous here. You can't go across the bridge. We're not allowed. Those are rebels. They hurt people."
Yeah,
I believe is the line that the little girl says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a... when we were talking about the start of you getting control of the video game, and I can't remember the exact phrase you used, Steve, but like, the way that the camera pulls out and kind of lets you know that you're in control. There's a little bit of an inverse of that happens with the camera just pushing in very subtly just before the girl grabs your arm, and it cuts to another angle. And I think it's just worth emphasizing that the ease out of you're in control mode is just as important as the ease in, to make it feel like you're not just suddenly having control taken from you. It feels like a very natural transition. Yeah,
it doesn't just cut to a different camera somewhere. The invisible cameraman sort of goes, "I'm going to direct something now. I'm going to move this."
Having been aware of the substantial and detailed talks that Naughty Dog have given over their camera systems, there's clearly quite a lot of thought that's gone into every aspect of what the camera does, where and when and how. So
totally.
Yep. Worth admiring.
It is. It's very good.
Indeed.
So Chloe sort of pokes her head around this sort of like gate that she's taking cover behind.
Yeah.
As you will do many times in this video game. This third-person cover-based shooter. So Chloe pokes her head out and says like, "Shit," something like that.
Yeah.
Because there are too many guards sort of just standing around watching, keeping an eye out.
Yeah, she's been delayed just long enough that she can't take advantage of the opportunity that she first saw.
Yep.
So yeah, Minu being the little girl's name, has slowed her down just enough. Though something else there is that Chloe actually shuts this little girl down twice. And the first time she does it pretty bluntly.
Yep.
And then when the girl persists out of genuine concern for her welfare, she changes her approach to something that's got quite a bit more compassion in it, while still being more or less in the forceful adult mode. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She switches from like the respectful thief voice to "You're a child." She says, "If you run along now, when I come back, I'll buy us pizza."
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a very talking to a child kind of thing to say.
Yeah.
rather than nice try lifting there.
Yeah.
And it's the way in which it's said hints to the fact that Chloe knows very well how to speak in this situation.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
But I think it also gives us no, it's for real adult time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has better. Yeah, I mean, like it's doing dialogue's job of doing two things at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chloe vocalizes that she's sort of missed her window or isn't sure how she's going to get on that truck, which I didn't pay enough attention to apparently. But so what happens is because what happens is the child sees that you need help and just runs towards this truck, screaming for assistance. It's like, I've lost my dad. We're having ice cream now. I can't find him. To distract one of the guards. And so the guard is then trying to console the child and help it look for its father, I guess, as you get control of the camera back and are meant to bolt for the truck.
All you had to do, Steve. was walk to the back of the truck
So
and hop in.
bolt
But
in.
instead, Steve, what you chose to do is you went, I know that Tony is going to have to try and make some sort of coherent narrative out of 3 separate time streams. And just to see how amazing he is at making sense of anything, I'm going to do something off book.
So, all right, we can talk about it now. A thing that I
We should
noticed,
talk about it now.
a thing that I noticed myself doing after this section as well, is me playing these sections like they're in Hitman or Assassin's Creed, and not like they're in an Uncharted game.
Okay.
So when the child distracted the guard, I was like, okay, there's a very small window now where I can round this corner and try and find somewhere else to hide, because this guard is going to turn back around. Surely I can't possibly just run straight past them.
I need to find
Like,
a
they'll hear
telephone
me.
and say, there's something wrong with the bathroom.
Yeah, like they'll. But my thinking was, I can't run straight past them. That guard is still only like a meter or 2 from this truck. They'll just hear someone run behind them, turn around, and I'll get captured.
There's a problem with
Was
the
what I
tower.
was thinking.
You were looking for a tower to climb so that you could unlock all of the map icons for that
You
particular
jest,
area.
but Uncharted: The Lost Legacy has the best tower climbing of any Far Cry game.
Yes.
Anyway,
So, Steve, you died and thus ended
I
your
died.
canonical run of Uncharted: The Lost
I
Legacy.
got a game
Yeah.
over. Basically,
You got caught immediately.
I just missed the truck. Like I walked up to it when I realized there was nowhere for me to go.
Yep.
Like I switched into, well, now it's fighting time. So I approached a guard, but there are none of the buttons are fight. Like they don't do anything yet.
Press options to fight, Steve.
Yeah, I could look at my phone maybe.
Get your phone out. Get your phone out and document.
Like, have you seen this kid? So, yeah, the truck just left. The truck started up. Chloe is like, shit, I have to hurry. And the truck left.
Yep.
And my game faded to black and I had to do it again.
Yeah, and Sully went, Nate!
Yeah. Well, even though he's not in the game, yeah. Somewhere.
Oh my god!
somewhere.
What a callback! What a callback!
It was echoey over the foothills. You heard it.
Yeah.
from-
It's so good. It's so good. He just doesn't care. Sully's just so over it. Just like, oh, mate, no.
Oh.
Well,
We're,
now I gotta get back myself.
we're going to have to do that again.
Yeah. Load times, Nate.
Anyway, we all successfully
We all
hopped
eventually
onto the
get
back
in the back
of
of
this
the
truck.
truck. Yeah,
Yes,
which
we
all I had
did.
to do was walk towards it and press X.
Yes.
While
While holding
it was much
forward
simpler
on the
than I
left
thought.
analog stick, yeah.
While holding forward, yes, there's a little call out. It's like continue walking forward and press X.
Yes.
It's way less complicated than I was making it.
Were you playing
The
on
truck
crushing,
pull-
Steve? Is that what the problem was?
Maybe I was.
That was it. Yeah.
The truck leaves with you in the back of it. The camera snaps to you, like over Chloe's shoulder.
Yep.
You can hear the little girl going, "Oh, there's my father," and she runs away and screams, "Thank you" to the guard. So she gets away safe. You're on the truck, and we get a shot now of what we had not yet seen of this city, which is behind this bazaar further up what looks like a hill.
Yeah.
Is what looks like a CBD. There's like pristine skyscrapers in the background here behind the city. And then as the camera snaps back to where the gate is, as it does like its crane shot rising up again,
Yeah.
we can see that we are not going towards the city. We are going towards endless, like, slum, sort of foggy, dirty, decrepit,
Lots of smoke.
low-income housing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're heading away from the air quotes safety. And that's when we get our title card. We get our title card, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
There it is. It's also probably worth mentioning that there is one last look shared between Chloe and, sorry, Tony, what did you say the little girl's name was?
Minu.
Minu. There's one last look that's shared between them, which reinforces the idea that their relationship is probably not at its end. That Chloe is going to do her best not to lie to that little girl and return.
Yeah, I just want to note that the only reason I know that the little girl's name is Minu is because you had your subtitle switched on, Aaron. So
Yes.
Yeah,
a few minutes in, once I realised that people were talking and we might want to read.
So after our title card, we get a fade to black, and we get a fade back up. We get a -1- and a chapter name, which is The Insurgency. We're in a dark alleyway. Presumably this is later, because it's no longer sunset, it's now night.
Chloe's just hopped over a fence away from some person getting beaten up in an alleyway, presumably by bad people.
Yeah, whether those are rebels or military or it's just a bad part of town.
Yep.
It's a bad part of town now.
And she emphasises this by saying, "You poor bastards," looking back over her shoulder. Yep.
A thing that I noted is there are moths under one of the lamps just flying around. That's nice.
It is nice. It's sort of like the was it the fireflies in 4?
Might have been,
or was it leaves? I think it was leaves, actually. Completely different, but leaves blowing on the rooftop of the boys' school, and then me having a little. I had a dance in the leaves.
So now we're walking through these sort of back streets and alleys. It's dark.
I want to talk about that set of stairs.
All that set of stairs.
Okay, go on.
So you're kind of, in terms of the layout here with these narrow alleyways, you've more or less got one way to go.
Yes.
So you know, there's a T-junction, there's a dead end to the left. It continues to the right, but then you get something where there is not clearly an A path. There's a path that continues, the alleyway swerves around to the left, but there's also a set of stairs heading diagonally away up to the right. Both of these are under a heavy spotlight, the same kind of street light, and the game doesn't say to you, "This way, stupid." It just goes, "Which way?" And my completionist find the treasure brain went, "No." And I started going one way, and then I doubled back and I headed up the stairs. And interestingly, Aaron, you walked up to this corner and just went straight up the stairs. So I want to talk about these stairs. Why are they here? What are they for? Where do they lead? Why did you walk up them? Steve, you ignored the shit out of them, so we'll get to that in a moment as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find where this even is.
This is going to sound corny or like I'm being facetious again, but this is the first interesting choice that the game has presented with to us.
I mean, other than looking at the skybox,
No. It's totally significant. For my part, it mostly came from a similar thing. So I always hate it when a linear game with pickups or things to find, especially when I'm enjoying it. I hate it when I'm given a branching path, because at any point I'm like, well, you might take control away from me over here, and then I might get shut off, and I've missed an opportunity over here.
What if Alan Wake doesn't find a thermos?
Exactly. That's it.
Don't even.
Right? But that's the fear. That's the fear, is that might happen. And Uncharted has established itself as a series that is occasionally okay with caving you in.
And this game has already said to me specifically, because I've played Uncharted's before, no, there are treasures already because you just grabbed one out of the palm of Minu.
Yeah.
So
and normally
I was immediately stressed here, because I was going, I know I'm playing this for talking about it on the podcast, but now my find all the treasures brain is going, just walk endlessly along, hugging the left wall until you have covered absolutely every square inch of this environment.
So what ended up motivating me, I think, to go for the stairs is I play the Uncharted games for climbing.
Right.
So anything that any area that involves climbing, I think I'm conditioned to go towards.
Right.
Even a staircase. That's always the thing that I look for in open areas, where it's like, I know there's a doorway somewhere. I need to find the staircase.
Okay,
I need to find the first thing that resembles the staircase.
Yep.
So I think that's what led me to go up the stairs.
Okay.
But then the interesting thing is that is not the way to advance the plot.
Yes.
Because going up the stairs just doubles back on where you began in that area.
Yes.
And takes you back down to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that jumps out at me first of all as being significant there is maybe there's an encouragement that at some point I won't be expected to follow a straight line.
Yeah.
Because this is beyond 10 minutes, but this does come up, is that you are in a large open area, with no one clear straight line to go to get to the next cutscene.
Yeah.
So in a way, it could be conditioning me to that
Right.
in the beginning, and there are probably more opportunities to do that later in that area as well, because we are in as Steve, as you described before, the sort of slum type area, lots of narrow alleys and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of ways to design, architecture that loops back around on itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you? So why did you eventually stop halfway up the stairs and then turn around, Tony?
I started heading down the alley to the left and then stopped and doubled back and then went up the stairs, because as I rounded the corner, I saw that it continued and then rounded another corner, and I went, no, this is the A path.
Yeah, right.
So if there's going to be something hidden somewhere, it's going to be up those stairs. And I walked up the stairs, ended up back at where I began, and went, what?
Yeah.
It was just it seems like such a seems like such a specific choice, because it's not there by accident. It's less work to not have those stairs there.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like it's less work to not look out the back of the truck and see a giant modern metropolis.
Yeah.
I appreciate that these things are there, but these things take time and effort, and when you're trying to do things to a consistent level of execution, like, that's not an insignificant investment from a production standpoint. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on why you immediately beelined up those stairs. And Steve, you just didn't go up them at all.
So I found that bit in my playthrough.
Yep.
I was hugging the right side of that area.
Yeah.
So there was far less stairway on screen.
Right, okay.
And so you had just walked through a very dark alleyway, and the light at the end that's kind of near the stairs just looks to me like it was the light going, yes, you are going the right way, keep going this way.
Sure. Yep.
And as I approached that with the camera on the right side of it, which is also where the stairs are, they're mostly obscured.
Yeah.
And as you walk towards that sort of right angle,
right, okay.
To the left,
Yep.
there's another spotlight that flashes into view.
Okay.
So because of the way that other light along the A path comes in and out of obscurance,
right,
it flashes at you
okay.
on the left-hand side. So I just immediately went towards the flashing light.
So it was more or less a result of how you had framed the camera, because you've got control of camera direction on your other stick as you're moving.
Because I had happened to be far more to one side of the alley than the other.
Yeah.
There was just less screen real estate telling me that there were stairs there.
Okay. Cool.
And I think I had already walked up some stairs earlier, just like a stoop to a doorway.
Yep.
And the door wasn't openable, and there was a little Ganesh statue at the door.
Right.
So perhaps I had already gone, stairways lead to closed doors.
Okay.
Follow the lights.
Sure.
One very quick note that I just want to make here too before we continue is that there's a little musical motif that plays just after you enter this area, and the first 4 notes are identical to a Game of Thrones piece of music for Daenerys' dragons, and it completely threw me for a loop. Because at the time of this recording, right at sort of peak Game of Thrones season 7 fever, so it was certainly fresh in my mind. But the only
I'm really bummed there weren't any calls to Twin Peaks.
Well, the only previous example that I can think of, funnily enough, that you should mention Twin Peaks, Aaron, is how much I got weirded out years ago when I rewatched the original Twin Peaks series and realized that the main theme from Diablo is actually a theme in Twin Peaks.
Yep.
which is for the character in season 2 whose name I can't remember.
For Wyndham Earl?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, fun fact. Go and watch season 2 of Twin Peaks, and the Wyndham Earl theme is one of the main themes from the Diablo video games.
And then watch the rest of it. Yeah. Oh yeah, all the other way around. And then watch all of it and all the new stuff, because it's the greatest thing you'll ever see in your life.
Save it for the plugs, Aaron.
Yeah. So as we continue down these hallways, or these corridors, or alleyways, whatever they are, we see more people hiding in their houses. So people don't want to be on the streets,
or running through the streets to immediately go and hide in there.
Go and hide in houses. Yeah. There are some other people that I saw that I don't think either of you saw in your playthrough, because you didn't try and sneak around.
Yep.
That are on a balcony with a monkey, and I assume a father figure calls a child back inside because the streets aren't safe, even though they're on a second floor balcony. It's still not safe to just be visible from street level.
Yeah.
So pretty soon after this, we get an immediate example of what degree of threat there is on the streets here, because you come walking up to a T-junction and then a ute comes scooting from left to right at a fairly great rate of knots with a big burst of sound.
It's a bit of a jump scare.
Sort of pulls up more or less right in front of you. And a bunch of people in uniforms, but not the same uniforms as the blue ones we saw earlier, begin accosting somebody and dragging them out of their home. And this gentleman is pleading that he hasn't done anything wrong, and they seem completely unsympathetic. And one of them hits him in the face with a rifle butt, and they haul him up into the back of this ute. And Aaron, I believe it was in your playthrough, you did the Last of Us thing where you go walking up to to somebody with a rifle. I assume that was you testing to see whether they would push back?
Yes. Yes. Right. And so the reason I'd done that is, and so a little bit of inside baseball for you folks listening at home, my first 10 minutes run through was not the one that you will see on YouTube.
What?
That's because I switched to HDR mode without realizing, as the game proceeded to tell me when I went to share the clip, that this may affect color grading, which it did. So in my first playthrough of that, I got close, but I got into this weird gray area where I felt like I'm really close to you. I'm so close to you, and you're not acknowledging my existence. You're not telling me to go away. You're not pointing the rifle at me threateningly. Nothing's happening. I'm basically invisible. And I was like, is this intentional? But then I was mindful of the clock, and I turned around. I was like, well, that's potentially an interesting talking point. And I turned around and walked away. On my second playthrough, when I realized this was necessitated, I was like, no, actually, let's test the waters a little further here. And so that's when I tried to get closer. So it's just a really strange thing. I guess there has to be an endpoint to the volume, right? Where you're not going to trigger that thing from happening.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, well, where do you call it? Where's too close and where's too far away? Right. I think I managed to just find the right spot where it didn't feel correct.
So I'm also wondering then, if you walk up to them a second time, do they just shoot you dead the way that they shoot Joel dead in The Last of Us?
Yeah, and I mean, like that was my well, it was sort of thing like that. Thematically, that works in The Last of Us. Thematically, that's a little trickier to pull off in Uncharted. Yeah, it was strange.
And Steve, did you end up walking towards these people? I mean, they're labeled as insurgents in the subtitle, so let's use that noun for them.
I was, as I mentioned earlier, I was in Hitman mode. So when I saw people with guns, I walked away from them, faced away from them, and then used the third-person camera to watch what they were doing.
Okay.
As I would in a Hitman game, so they didn't see me staring at them and wonder what I was doing there.
As I imagine was probably the intent.
So I didn't. I did not approach them. I kept walking, but I had, I had a similar trigger volume thing where I didn't approach the open doorway with the person's being accosted fast enough.
Right.
Because I was not wanting to get spotted.
Yeah.
So I stood back watching it play out, and they sort of end up in a little loop where there's people harassing him in a doorway until I walked close enough, and that's what triggers the Jeep to pull up and continues the animation.
Yeah.
So I think I had lost some of the impact by delaying myself more than I should have.
Well, when the ute comes screaming past, Aaron's footage, he tracks the ute with the camera. My footage, I track the ute with the camera. Your footage, you do not move the fucking camera, and the ute just disappears off the right of your screen.
And then I run away from it.
Business. Yeah.
Yeah, and I run away from it.
Shit done.
You're
while
like
moving
the
the camera to look at it.
of this universe.
No, the problem is that Tony and I like to think that we're makeshift cinematographers, whereas Steve's just playing the fucking game.
I object to the use of the term makeshift. I had to wrangle with this for many, many years when I was trying to shoot in-game video footage of games.
Cheerfully withdrawn.
That second stick control is more or less how I steer characters in this style of game. I actually steer by camera, not by movement stick.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, I tend to do the same.
So
not through experience.
Here's the thing, right? Immediately after this section, you more or less, from the level layout, you do a 180 and you're immediately presented with more insurgents at the end of the alleyway.
Yes, but under another bright light,
yes.
And even more imposing, which is why I didn't approach them.
Yes,
this is where
there's a side alley.
Yeah, I went down the side alley and was trying to find a way to sneak around them, to the point that I was looking for things to climb up because it's Uncharted.
Right.
But you're not allowed to climb anything yet.
You haven't unlocked the climbing ability, is that what
I haven't, discovered the treasure of climbing.
No, the problem is that you haven't reached the part of the city where they started painting things yellow.
Right. Yeah. Where things aren't just scratched up a whole bunch.
Yeah, everything's just like neutral greys here. It's not working.
Right. Yeah. It's got a fresh coat of decrepit paint on it rather than the fresh scratches.
Yeah. So, Steve, like, this is so colourless, I can't climb on this.
You went off down a side alley to try and find a way around this, which is understandable because, I mean, you've just seen them being drastically unkind to somebody.
Yeah.
And now you see another bunch of civilians go walking with sort of heads hung and shoulders hunched through this checkpoint. Aaron, you glanced at the alleyway but didn't head down it.
Yep.
And I don't believe I even noticed the alleyway because I guess I go there and I assume I'm going to get more cutscene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what happens. Aaron, do you want to talk us through this bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's so you go to pass through as unnoticed as anyone before it, but you're stopped. The guard in front of you wants to check your papers, I believe, or
he says, "Hey, hold on, what's your rush? How do I know you're not smuggling something in here?"
Yeah. So essentially it's I imagine it's dialogue that's intended to be quite skeezy, and
that's how it comes off.
And icky, which is compounded when someone off camera says, "Hey," which is interesting because the camera takes a while to actually catch up to the fact that there's another potential danger in this area, which helps with the idea that Chloe is trying to be as withdrawn as possible, as invisible as can be, so we don't even see everything that's in the that's in the scene. And then another man says, "Hey," again a little more aggressively, and then says, "Where do you live?"
Before that, he says, "What are you, deaf?"
Yeah. So continuing with sort of like insults and vague threats. Wants to know where Chloe lives, and she provides the region. And then I imagine that I believe that there was a phone call that
his radio. Someone comes on the radio and says that they need something.
Yeah. And then he says it can wait, and then a commanding voice that you can hear through the feedback seems to demand that it happens now.
Yeah.
Prompting him to say, "Well, let's get out of here." The guard that's closest to Chloe then says, "Well, what about her?" He says, "Let her go."
Yep. So my understanding is that this game has had performance capture done in much the same style as previous Uncharted's.
I would imagine so. Yes.
Yeah. So there are a couple of character moments here with Chloe that are very subtle and quite nicely executed. You can see her thinking at 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to figure out, should I say something? Should I not say something? And when this lieutenant asks, where do you live, you actually see the briefest flash of alarm on her face because she wasn't expecting such a specific question.
Yeah.
And now she knows that she can't not answer.
Yeah.
And because that tension is getting ratcheted up so much, as soon as this same person then steps towards her in a threatening fashion and says, "What are you, deaf?" she clenches her fists. She goes from kind of a loose, open fist because her hands are up near her head, and she actually clenches them to the point where it's fighting time. And then my assumption, as a player of Uncharted games, was that I was about to enter another bar brawl similar to the start of Uncharted 3, I think it was.
Yes.
But you don't.
Not quite.
Yep.
The man in the machine saves you from that fight.
So there's not an awful lot left in the 10 minutes that happens after this. There's a little bit of alleyway that at least Aaron and I were wandering along, at the end of which you spot the red door, you get a prompt to press L3, and you get the camera focus on the item of interest. So unless there was anything specific that either of you wanted to talk about in that sort of last little section.
The only thing that I wanted to mention really, really quick was that I did take a moment to stare at a billboard with a painting on it, which I thought was just once again, just like to highlight that Naughty Dog are a team that have a lot at their disposal, and they milk that for what it's worth.
It all ends up on screen.
Yes, it's all right there, and it's a moment that both of you walked past, or an object that both of you walked past. And that's significant that I was still afforded the opportunity to stop and observe it and see that this thing has been beautifully painted and then been painted with the decay of time. Where it's old, it's tattered, it's frayed, it's cracked. Really, just a really significant thing. That you're free to ignore.
So more or less where the 10 minutes ended was for Aaron and I just after spotting the red door, and for Steve, I think you were just about to go through the checkpoint.
I was hiding behind a ute, trying not to have to go through the checkpoint. When Chloe says, sorry, I closed it. Damn it. Chloe says, I guess I have no choice, I have to go through, or something to that effect.
Right, okay.
Which is something that happened really in a way that made a lot of sense when Tony and I were playing through, because we were just following a straight line.
So there are a couple of things that I wanted to just throw out as talking points and perhaps get your thoughts on them. This is an Uncharted game. And these first 10 minutes, for me at least, were very much not what I expected for an Uncharted game. So there's been no climbing. There's been no fisticuffs. There's been no gunplay. There's been no explosions. And
these are fair statements.
And those all feel like very intentional and very specific choices. And this very much subverted my expectations of how Uncharted games usually open. And I think that's super duper interesting. But now I'm going to throw that over to you. What was your response to it?
It was like it threw me through a loop as well. But it wasn't something that I was necessarily unaccustomed to, because this is the beginning of The Last of Us, and this is the beginning of The Last of Us DLC.
But it doesn't say The Last of Us on the tin, Aaron.
No, it says Uncharted. And it's a strange thing.
I don't remember how 4 started either, though.
Well, 4 started with you on a boat.
4 started with a boat chase.
Yeah, that then turned into his Uncharted, his climbing across a rooftop and sliding down some clotheslines and shit like that.
It had a high-octane action sequence with a lot of gunplay, and then it had a bucket load of climbing as young Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this doesn't. And so there's one easy line to draw between this, which I don't know whether it's just coincidence or not, but the beginning of The Last of Us, the beginning of The Last of Us DLC, and the beginning of Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, you're playing as women.
Yeah.
Which is the polar opposite to every other Uncharted game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that might be representative of. If it's representative of, not being able to engage in action right off the bat, and that's bullshit, but I don't think that's what's happening here.
No, me neither.
It's an odd thing.
So I think Steve said, sorry, Steve, go ahead.
For me, it struck me more as Nate is in it for the thrill.
Yes.
And
so you kind of touched on this before, Steve, when you said that Drake's approach is, I'm going to get the treasure because I'm going to get the treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to be swashbuckling and have gunfights, and we're going to have a brawl, and it's going to be great.
Yes.
Chloe's motivations are not here to have a good time.
That's right.
She can handle some shit if she has to.
Yep.
But she is here for other reasons. Yep. She is here for a lost legacy, if you will.
Yep.
Right.
She is here to save a friend. I think that's in the 10 minutes.
Yes. She mentions that to the girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are other things that we find out later about why she's here.
Right.
That relate to Ganesh.
So,
but they're not getting treasure,
right?
And they're not for high adventure.
This is what I came around to reflecting on this, and just to reiterate, this is literally all of the game I played at this point.
Yeah.
That this game oozes Uncharted, but it doesn't have any Drake in it, if that makes sense.
Yep. From this 10 minutes, totally. If you were to play another 5 minutes, Tony.
Well, I haven't, and you can't make me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's totally on the way, but you are apt. That's a very apt observation. Is the idea that for and that's the running theme of the Uncharted quadrilogy, or of the Nathan Drake quadrilogy, is him working through the fact that this is something that he does because he just loves doing it.
Yeah.
That his life doesn't have purpose if he's not, Jeremy Renner in the Hurt Locker. For Chloe, it's the complete opposite. Chloe would prefer not to do this stuff whatsoever.
Yeah.
But Chloe does it because Chloe has to do it.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, not just for the job. There are bigger things at stake for her as well.
Right. So what I'm excited about when I get around to playing more of this, which I will, is that Chloe is a character who I'm aware of because I have seen her in another Uncharted game before.
Yep.
But I know very little about her. And now I'm being offered the opportunity to be her in this game, and presumably that's going to give me a similar degree of insight that I gained from playing Drake, from playing Joel, from playing Ellie. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. I have no idea where it's going. I know roughly what I know that I have to find a red door, and that's kind of.
We can tell you.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
We can walk you through it.
I have some information for you.
You're going to read the Wikipedia thing again? Okay, right.
No, my cursory Googling would reveal that a legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. It could also mean something left or handed down by a predecessor. Also in computing, it denotes or relates to software or hardware that has been superseded and is difficult to replace because of its wide use.
I think it's the last one. It's definitely the last one.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going. Like, there's hints that it may be another definition, but that's a red herring. That's misdirection. Yep. No, it is entirely...
The trick.
It's entirely
all the
about
family
outdated
stuff,
hardware.
it's a trick.
Yep.
It's about Y2K.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, it's a secret prequel.
Yeah.
Or the Uncharted series just takes place before
The entire thing.
December 31st, 1999.
Yep.
Oh boy.
They don't have any smartphones. Prove me wrong. No, she does now. Damn it. Anyway.
Yes. That's just magic. It's alternate universe.
Yeah.
It's what if the Y2K virus was real? That's the actual.
Sure.
That's the real thing.
Yep.
Okay, so this is probably difficult for the two of you to answer because you played quite a bit of this. Aaron, you used the descriptor thief when referring to Chloe.
Correct. Yes.
That's a very different noun from treasure hunter.
Yes, you're right.
I'm giving you an opportunity
Would you like
to
me to
keep
Google?
talking.
And you would like to, Steve,
Yes.
back me up here.
All right. Yes, a thief is a person who steals another's property, especially by stealth and without using force or threat, whereas Google cannot define a treasure hunter. But
Well, see, there you go. Chloe fits some of the bill.
she's
of
an
a thief.
enigma. Yeah.
Put it to bed.
I love the clumsiness that comes from none of us being the authority on this 10 minutes because we've
Yeah.
all played it.
It's fantastic.
Democracy works. The pregnant pause of waiting for somebody to offer their thoughts.
It's beautiful. But let me. So the specific reason why I called Chloe a thief is because I have post 10 minutes Uncharted on the brain.
Right.
And there's another character in this game. There's another protagonist in this game.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's in the description. Nadine shows up.
Yeah, Nadine. Yeah. I was leading to it in a slightly more
Sorry.
showy way. That's okay. I can be theatrical another time. Yeah. So Nadine's hanging around, and there's some midnight run tension between the two of them. And that involves Nadine herself being a mercenary as opposed to a thief or treasure hunter. There is some tension between the two of them because of
Okay.
the way in which they approach their kind of shady way about making money.
Yeah.
Those of you who've forgotten, Nadine Ross was the mercenary for Uncharted 4, who at the end is like, "You're idiots, I'm leaving." And
Yes.
you just applaud. You're like, you get it, but I am going to punch that guy, though.
Yes, exactly.
Bye, Nadine.
And that's a really cool thing about this is all post 10 minutes talking about Nadine, but I mean, she is a significant part of this game, so I guess we should mention the fact that there was some really interesting stuff at the end of Uncharted 4 with the idea that essentially Nadine is also witnessing the failure of the company that she works for. On her watch, by her doing, and that factors into her character development in this as well.
Right. Cool. So were there any other things that either of you wanted to bring up or discuss?
I wanted to sing a song.
Oh,
do it.
nice.
Yeah.
This is the Springsteen moment.
Yeah, so it turns out that Springsteen's actually a really big fan of the Uncharted series.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, no, he is, and he wrote a little ditty. He sent it to me. He DM'd it to me.
Nice.
Thanks, Bruce. Right in the nick of time. Like just then, he DM'd it to me.
Cool.
And so I'm going to assume that he wants me to sing it like Mansion on the Hill,
Okay.
or any of the other songs on Nebraska. Pick your chord progression; it's all the same. It's such a good chord progression, guys. Anyway, so here we have it. Well, our names are Chloe and Nadine, though you'll only see one of us, 'cause this is long form storytelling. Tune in next week for the rest.
Okay.
Serialized performance. I love it.
Very
Yep.
meta. I like it.
Yep. We've jumped that shark already.
So if there's nothing else, Steve, I believe it's over to you for the plugs.
Plug time. All right. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you would like to get in contact with us to let us know what you thought of it, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us. The email address is contact@thefirst10minutes.com. You can also find us on many social medias. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Libsyn. We're on Libsyn. We're probably still on SoundCloud somehow.
Yeah,
we're also technically on Twitch and Patreon. And you can find us at any of those places where we are the first 10 minutes.
Hey, guess what?
Yep.
I'm going to blame us on the fact that we've had 2 internet disconnections while we've been recording this, and it's totally throwing us off of our whack. But we
missed the 10-minute check. Yeah. Yeah,
I was like, in charge.
I'll jump in towards the end and say, hey, what about a quick 10-minute check? But
I already did.
We're all good.
So what about?
Who would you like to 10-minute check it?
I have the power of bequeathing this upon you, Steve, seeing as you're on a roll.
All right.
Yep.
So in terms of a 10-minute check, kind of. Look, it doesn't have a number on the box, but it still says Uncharted.
Yeah. And
at this point, you probably know what Uncharted means, and if you don't, you can find out very, very easily.
Yes.
This isn't like this isn't a series that changes rapidly in terms of what you're in for.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like maybe a negative thing, but I really don't mean it as such.
Yeah.
If you go and find any information about Uncharted, that will help you decide whether or not you want to play an Uncharted game.
Yeah.
So in terms of this game specifically telling us how to play Uncharted, in the first 10 minutes, it doesn't. But on major consoles, this is the 5th Uncharted game.
Yeah.
At this point, you probably know how to play it. Also, Uncharted isn't so unique that if you haven't played an Assassin's Creed game before, you probably have a good idea of how to play this game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what this game does do really well in its first 10 minutes is giving you a unique sense of style that is different, as we've talked about, to the existing Uncharted games. And I think that is probably a better use of its time anyway than running us through, here's how you climb things. If we were going to talk about more than 10 minutes, then we might find some things later on that you might wish had more tutorializing, but this is a very solid 10 minutes. It gives us an excellent setup of what we're doing, where we're going, and the kind of tone and mode that we're going to operate in. And in the next 5 minutes after this, shit is going to pop off in a very Uncharted way.
Right,
yes.
okay.
Indeed.
So tone was a thing that I was kind of going to call out as well.
Yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with you personally on Twitter, Steve, how do they do that? Just
my Twitter account.
We're straight back into it.
Great seg. _ Steve Helliwell is my Twitter profile. You can also just find me at stevehelliwell.com. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Steve.
I mean, this is so predictable. We've heard this from you so many times before.
Yeah, we all know it. We all love it.
You all know it. You can find me at Rundown Flamingo.
What?
Yep.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry.
Same,
That's right, dear
always
listeners.
been.
That's right, dear listeners. With this awkward ceremony, I can announce to you that I have changed my Twitter handle. You can now find me at Rundown Flamingo, but that's just for me. When it comes to pushing buttons, those essays that I do on narrative design and story development in video games, that's all still where it used to be. That's at pushingb or simply pushingb.com. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
You on them internets?
Yeah, I want to contact you.
I didn't know that we were going to flip the table and just start changing our handles randomly. So do you want to give me a few minutes to just go and mix it up?
Yeah,
go put.
I think I'll
go find 3 words you like.
I can tell you that Turnpike Opera is totally available.
I'm going to stick with my tried and true technique. If you want to get in touch with me personally on Twitter, you can find me at Kalinskald. That's KALINSKALD. I also do a game developer podcast interview series called Downloadable Context, which you can find on Twitter at DLContext or on the web at www.downloadablecontext.com. And I believe this brings us to a conclusion.
This brings this episode to a close.
This
Thank you, everyone.
Completely faultless podcast that hasn't had any dramas along the way whatsoever.
It's fine.
So thank you all very much for listening, and we will catch you again next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.